Not all that glimmers is gold. Not all who wander are lost. Not all who smile are friendly. Welcome to Ponyville. Listeners, I don't know about you, but I am simply teeming with mandatory government-enforced elation about the upcoming gala. And with only a week until what promises to be the social event of the century, all of Ponyville is abuzz with preparations. From Sugar Cube Corner to Sweet Apple Acres, gala fever is in the air and has proven to be contagious and lethal. Our condolences to the families of those we have lost. Now, listeners, I myself have had the honor of attending the gala many times, and let me tell you, it is an experience to behold. From the always tasteful decor, to the decadent food, to the haunting music, there is nothing quite like that moment when Celestia's secret guard cease their savage beating, remove the bag they had thrown over your head from when they kidnapped you off the street, and reveal the splendor that is Canterlot Castle on the night of the gala. And in honor of this majestic event, I thought it would be a good idea to spend today's show talking about the gala itself, as well as the proper procedures and pagan rituals that go into its preparation. Now, I know what some of you long-term listeners are thinking, but Sea Salt, I already know about the dress codes, rules of etiquette, and required sacrifices. Why are you talking about them now? Also, how is it you can hear my thoughts? Are you inside my mind? Oh, sweet Celestia, get out! Please, please, get out! Well, first of all, no, I'm not inside your mind. Though sometimes the station antenna does get interference from the various spy satellites that orbit above us. Secondly, today's broadcast is meant more for newer listeners. Listeners who may have arrived in our town not so long ago. Listeners who may be purple unicorns with perfect manes and beautiful, brilliant scientific minds. Perfect, beautiful, purple scientist unicorns that maybe do not yet have a date to the gala and are looking for a +1? I'm available. Just putting that out there. Anyway, before we begin this special segment, I should probably get to the news first. Station management tends to look down upon going too far off the provided script. And then angry emails are sent, meetings are arranged, employee performance seminars are scheduled, mental blackouts occur, days pass without my knowledge. It's just a hassle, dear listeners. So let's get through this so we can get back to what really matters. Some interesting reports came to the station earlier today, courtesy of Big Macintosh. You know, the farmer. It appears that Sweet Apple Acres on the outskirts of town has been experiencing a series of earth tremors. While the shaking has been described as quite severe, so far the damages have been minor, and stranger still, the tremors have been reported as being mobile, moving from one end of the farm to the other in a slow yet steady line. These earthquakes appear to be very localized, as no one else in town has reported feeling anything of the sort. In fact, these stories fall in line with a similar series of tremors that have been reported moving up from Equestria in a wild, jagged pattern of destruction, leaving buildings collapsed, trees overturned, crops destroyed, summoning circles disturbed, and knocking over the impossibly tall black stone obelisks of unknown purpose and origin that litter our landscape. The first known reports of these tremors originated from Appaloosa several weeks ago. They claim the earth-shattering seismic activity began in the direction of the Badlands, and carved a path through their town before disappearing as suddenly and violently as they arrived. I had meant to report on this story when it first came across my desk the other week, but meh. That was the same day as our annual Blackberry Jam Jamboree, so a lot of airtime needed to be devoted to that, obviously. Oh, and Town Hall was going through that kitten infestation at the time, and we all know how deadly kitten infestations are. with their several rows of venomous fangs, scorpion tails, and the gaping open maws on the bottom of their feet before their adult paws grow in. So in the midst of all that, who really cares about Appaloosa? Couldn't have happened to a nicer town, I say. Maybe with their city in ruins, this year we finally have a chance to take home gold during the Equestria Games. Go Ponyville Hydrabats! Listeners, as we all know, one of the most important steps in preparing for the gala is choosing just the right outfit. Something flashy while still understated. Regal, but not too desperate. Fireproof, but without sacrificing design. It's a very delicate balancing act, listeners. So that's why today we're bringing you a special gala edition of our popular segment, Sea Salt's Hot Fashion Tips, brought to you, as always, by the Carousel Boutique. The Carousel Boutique. Come for the designer clothing and competitive prices. Stay because we've bolted the door and barred the windows. So, stallions, you're interested in looking your best for the gala, but aren't quite sure what to wear. While the standard black suit is always a popular favorite, maybe you want to spice things up a bit and add your own personal style. Well, here are some hot tips to make the most of your formal evening wear. While we all know that finding the right color and cut of your suit is very important, be sure to put consideration into the smaller aspects of your attire as well. For example, cufflinks are a simple way to add a touch of class to your ensemble, and with such a wide variety available, they can be an excellent and understated way to express the unique individuality assigned to you at birth by the Department of Power, Water, and Personality. But the customization need not end there, dear listeners. Have you ever considered the way you've done up your tie? Now, the half Windsor is both an easy and popular method for knotting a tie, but consider branching out to some of the other choices, such as the Baltith, the Mural, the Four and Hoof, or my personal favorite, the Eldritch, which is of course pronounced just like that. The Eldritch. Each can be a wonderful way to add a little something extra to your outfit of choice. Though, just be careful not to dress up in such a way that would identify you as belonging to one of the various Illuminati factions that are fighting their secret war in our streets. Or else you may find yourself being taken and dragged into the back of their unmarked and windowless carriages, never to be seen nor heard from again. Of course this might happen anyway, but only because you were a purposeful target instead of a mistaken enemy agent, so really there's no reason to go making things harder for the various sects of Illuminati forces that have invaded our town than they probably already are. It's just common courtesy. The same reason why you wouldn't call in false fire reports to the fire department, or look a crossing guard directly into their third eye. Remember, Ponyville, responsible fashion is every pony's responsibility. Listeners, we have an update on the earthquakes plaguing Sweet Apple Acres. And that update is that they no longer are. Reports from the farmland state that all has been calm and quiet. Well, except for the screaming from the apple trees, but as we all know, that's just the sound apple trees make. They scream. Orange trees weep, coconut trees whisper, and banana trees don't actually make any sound at all, but you can just feel them standing there and silently judging you, and you know they are not thinking kind things. According to reports from Big Macintosh, you know the farmer, as verified by Granny Smith and her breezies, the ground has been silent and still for the past few hours. It seems as though whatever was causing these tremors has passed. The destruction to their farmlands has been relatively minor. A few toppled trees, some disturbed farm equipment, and a single destroyed barn being the worst of it. But since they were planning on destroying it anyway, things worked out relatively fine. On a side note, Granny has asked me to let all of Ponyville listeners know that the Sweet Apple Acres Barn Rebuilding Charity Fund has just been opened. All of Ponyville citizens are humbly asked to spare whatever they can to help rebuild this beloved family farm. After all, said Granny Smith, you can't have a farm without a barn. We really need this money. For the barn. We need this money for the barn. Can't run a farm without it. And it sure would be a shame if we didn't, 'cause then we couldn't give out all these apples to feed the ponies of this town. And without apples, how would any pony eat? I wonder what would happen then, with a town that can't get any food. I wonder what would happen then. Donations can be made directly to Sweet Apple Acres in the form of large sacks with $signs on them. And now, traffic. Expect delays. Not on the roads, although there certainly will be, but expect delays in life. Expect problems. Expect the things you cannot possibly be asked to expect and yet will be asked all the same. Expect periods of slow going where there is nothing else to do but turn your mind's eye back on the road paved out behind you as you begin to wonder about every choice you ever made that brought you to this point. Expect a lot of stop and go as you casually move about your daily routine, only for your mind to be suddenly struck with memories from the past that you would rather have kept buried, forcing you to momentarily cease whatever activity you were engaged in as you question not only your morality, but also your entire existence. If you're really as good as you like to think you are, then why did you say and do all those terrible, terrible things? Expect detours as the carefully laid routes you had planned fall apart, forcing you down side streets and secondary paths that you never planned on and could have never planned for. You will see things you never thought you would see, experience things you never thought you would experience, and will change as a person, both for the better and for the worse. Or perhaps the roads will be perfectly clear. Who knows? You can't expect to know everything. This has been Traffic. During our traffic report, the station received several calls from downtown Ponyville concerning violent tremors ravishing the district and are steadily moving through town. I had thought that our earthquake problems were gone. Admittedly, that would have wrapped up our town's current crisis much more quickly than normal, but I suppose a stallion can dream, right? The first responders of Ponyville's emergency services are already on the scene and are putting into effect Mayor Mayer's carefully outlined crisis proposal plans of ignore it and it will probably go away. Already both fire and rescue forces are bravely standing with their backs turned to the disaster, with their eyes trained upwards to the sky, looking around in forceful ignorance. While still early in rescue operations, the mayor is calling the program a complete success, having gone on record saying, "Crisis? What crisis? There's no crisis here, buddy." Although she did need to shout this over the thunderous calamity of the shaking earth. Further questions were brought to a swift halt by the intervening of a falling ceiling, forcing the mayor and the gathered reporters to flee for their lives, but doing so in accordance to the carefully laid safety precautions of the mayor's law. So every pony quickly had to make excuses about leaving irons and stoves on to make it seem as though they were not escaping from a collapsing building. Safety first, Ponyville. Safety through blissful ignorance. We will have more on this story after a much more important piece of news. Here's another hot fashion tip, Ponyville. Keep your outfit simple. While the gala is, of course, a wonderful opportunity to show yourself off and amaze and astound others with your fashion, and, not to mention, win a year's immunity from any physical law of your choice, including, but not limited to, air, gravity, time, or the need to be a being composed of physical matter. However, this does not mean you need to overdress to come off as hip and fashionable. In fact, in many respects, being too dressed can cause more harm than not wearing enough. A good rule of hoof is to pay close attention to the cut and fit of your clothing. It is generally not a good idea to mix close cut and tight fit with loose and flowing. Pick one or the other and make it a central theme of your outfit. Also, try not to wear more than 3 colors. While being colorful is perfectly fine, you do not want to overdo it. While it is true that wearing only one solid color can be rather boring, too many runs the risk of being unsightly. As the late, great Oscar Wilde stallion said, everything in moderation, including moderation. Also, water is a lie. I do not trust it. Someone should put water on a boat, sail it off to an island, and then sink the boat halfway. And now, for corrections. On last week's broadcast, we stated that the Schoolhouse Bake Sale was on the 13th of this month, when it is actually the 13th of next. In addition, when we announced the winner of the Guess What Number Sea Salt is Thinking of and win a lifetime supply of ice cream, as well as government imprisonment and testing to reveal the source of your psychic powers contest, we failed to give a location of where to pick the ice cream up. So to Rumble, as soon as you escape from whatever underground facility you're being held at against your will, you can come down to the station at any time and claim your prize. Please try to make it soon. As it turns out, a lifetime supply of anything is actually a lot more than a single community break room fridge can hold. Our lunches are starting to go bad just sitting out on the table. So, come on Rumble, break out soon. Maybe use those psychic powers of yours or something. I don't know. Finally, in our station's previous broadcast, we stated that all life as we know it is a lie. That, from a scientific standpoint, there is no real way to prove that life, all life everywhere, actually exists. In fact, it is completely possible that everything you know is just a delusion of a single person. That you might be that person. That your life, your family, your friends, your home, even this broadcast are all figments of your imagination, created by a deranged mind that could no longer cope with the fact that you are, quite possibly, the only thing in existence. Not the only living thing, but the only thing. No people, no earth, no air, no light, only complete emptiness and your lone, wandering, insane mind. But do not think too hard about this, listener. If you do, you may wake up. You may break this dream you have created and open your eyes to complete and utter emptiness, where there is quite literally no one and nothing except for you. What we should have said was that tomorrow's community yard sale in Ponyville Park will need to be moved inside to the local school gymnasium due to possible rain showers. Sorry about that one, folks. Not quite sure how we got that one mixed up so badly. This has been Corrections. Ponyville, I've just been handed an update about the earthquake situation in the downtown area. It seems as though the tremors have stopped. Just as they had previously today in Sweet Apple Acres, they ended almost as suddenly as they came, leaving behind only the memories of their existence and the disheveled mess inside of buildings, and the disheveled mess inside of ponies' minds. With any luck, Ponyville, we have witnessed the end to these earthquakes. Not only are they interrupting the fashion advice that I'm trying to give to all of you, they're causing serious damage to our peaceful town. Honestly, Ponyville, I'm not sure how much more of this we can all... Oh dear. Listeners, it seems as though there is a terrible earthquake happening just below the station. But never fear, dear listeners. I, Sea Salt, am dedicated to my craft and will continue to bring you the news despite these setbacks. So, Ponyville, for the gala, you're probably wondering which type of shoes will help you best avoid the thousands of venomous scorpions that litter the gala floor. Okay, listeners, I believe I shall take the advice of our esteemed mayor and focus now on ignoring the earthquake until it goes away. And I believe I shall be doing so from the safety of underneath my desk, as there are bits of plaster and ceiling tile falling quite close to my head. So while I am ignoring this totally not earthquake, let me take you now to the weather. Oh jeez.
Yo, Buffalo Brony, keeping it true in MLP clothing brands. Especially Dixie do hoods, I'm repping the OGs in the hood. We're original gummies with this old school street crap. Like we ain't got no teeth, spit straight up real rap. You rather fly compared to a brony, got at the shots, no? I'm open to rap, you throw at me now, you won't let a pop, bro. You think that you're hot, so what? You ain't got me on ropes. The ones hanging around are all you haters like a cockroach. It's hard to kill you, but until you die, I will continue to write murderous lyrics in my mind like pesticide, but I'll also step on you non-stop. We brony stomping on you squares like it's hopscotch. Been here for a bit, I'm legit, so my brain and my spit is like symbols are raw. I'm fresh, got the raw, like a Sahara. I'm fishing for all the spitters who are raw. Egyptian hieroglyphics in my talk, ancient like in the time of the gods. I'm bringing it back with eloquent magic under the title of Pony Rap God.
Nice, Buffalo Birdie, you took it away. But unfortunately all of these haters are still here to stay. I say, how do you haters get so butthurt about what we watch? Well, we're still real men. Take a look at my crotch. Ha! I think it's time that you understood what we're all about. All this love and this tolerance crap? No, don't even run your mouth. Damn, you can't even keep peace in your neighborhood. You really expect adult men to practice a greater good? Well good, cause not everybody can teach you about honesty. You wouldn't have enough of that loyalty. All the things you've been talking about, saying that we so desperately shout in our efforts to keep haters out. Well then see ya, show 'em out.
I might be time for me to touch whack, but fuck that. When the haters start talking, it's time to bust back. I shouldn't say it, but I'ma say it. Screw the love and tolerance when it comes to playing my rap game. Haters still trying to tap fame. Dark Knight to the pony, haters call me Batman. A bit harsh, but I got some screws loose. Just know you fuckers can't hang like a loose noose.
Let you talking garbage, trying to steal some of our thunder. Son, when you pray like a demon, I pray that you get pulled under. Darkening path like Everfree, don't fucking turn your back on me with chrysalis arts, dark arts. All your spells are just sparks, feeling like you cracked. Your mirror pool's gone black. Go on, stary stand and see if I ever come back. Yeah, you could call me a fag. I rap pastel colored ponies, but I ain't gonna be your bitch, motherfucker blow me. I tolerated the cuff, stuffy cream puffy get rough. Keep us out of your mouth, yeah, enough is enough. This is a spitfire glare from a guy twice your size, about to kick your ass for that dirty shit you rationalize. Look at these bling flings, man, you kick down and you tease. You make them cower, learn the world on their knees. You keep playing a stage trick, I'm telling y'all to get good. Keep a damn hate out of my motherfucking hood, I'm out.
Alright. I'm gonna be clear in this song, to the point in this verse. Your insults are bad, washed up, certainly weak. They might have been somewhat hurtful back in 2010, but now your prospects are certainly bleak. In anything to any fannies, ponies you say, like, oh wow, your fan base is totally gay, could come even close to hurting us when you notice the plus that a guy and a girl has decayed. Who honestly cares about your hate anymore? Vi's just helping us push back for one last time. Everything's set up already, so it's time to turn up the heat. Hopefully all the other verses will hurt as much as mine. Your forefront positions to tackle divisions and basic conditions that all people share. Putting those aside is affecting our pride, the changing of tides is totally fair. Your lack of acceptance is simply just evidence that personal transcendence is not what occurred. So ignoring community and claiming immunity won't provide opportunity to join in the herd.
Let me just spit some lines, torture realize that you're out of time. We all have the right to like what we do. This shouldn't even affect you. Doesn't matter what I rap about. You step on the ring and you're done for the crowd. We're hated because we watch a show. Give me a second so I can reload it. Call me whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm here just climbing the ladder. Can't understand, let me slow down. No turning back now. We're back against the wall. Let's make the haters take the fall. You have no idea what we can do. Aren't you gonna make your move? Yeah, sure, make fun of me now, but just wait until I blast the sound. I'll show you why you've been mistaken. The decisions you've been making, one day will take over the nation. It'll be everyone's conversation. We'll all turn around what you've been saying. No matter what you heard, I'm no imitation.
Can you imagine if you went fishing and you caught a fish?
Listeners, here we are, battered and bruised, but not beaten. The terrible tremors that were inflicting our town have moved on, past our city limits, and out into the grasslands that surround us. Fear can be a good thing, Ponyville. We all know to fear the endless black sky that looms above us, gazing down upon us with 1,000 indifferent and unfeeling eyes. But we should also remember to fear the earth as well, for even though it is a stony friend, it is one we do not know as well as we like to hope. Danger is everywhere, Ponyville, And in comparison to the endless sky and the hard earth, we are nearly nothing. But it is through fear, dear listeners, that we are kept alive. Fear of the correct things, of the sky, of the earth, of shadowy figures in the darkness, and of course the fear of door-to-door salesmen with their sharpened claws and black holes for faces. For even though we are nothing to the grand scheme of the universe, to some ponies around us, we are the universe. And it is through fear and caution that we remain alive for them and for ourselves. It is the ponies that we choose to surround our lives with that keeps us strong. And in return, we must stay strong and fearful for them. Stay tuned next for every day of the rest of your life and all the fear that that brings. Good night, Ponyville. Good night. Welcome to Ponyville was a parody project, written and performed by Canned Cream. Welcome to Night Vale was written by Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Craner. My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic is the property of Hasbro. Music was by Disparition. You can check him out at disparition.bandcamp.com. The weather was Bucka by Violet Pony and featuring Buffalo Brony, Corrupt, Ayoshi, Ataraxia, and Jacob Albrecht. Today's proverb: there is no I in team. There are, however, 3 ears, 7 noses, several teeth, and various strands of hair.